Welcome, everybody. I'm Marc David, founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. We're back in the Psychology of Eating podcast, and it's a client session today, and I am with Heidi. Welcome, Heidi.
Thank you, Marc.
So, my favorite question to ask clients, if you could wave your magic wand, get whatever you wanted with food and body, what would that be for you?
Well, in 2014, a staph infection invaded my spine, and I lost the use of my legs temporarily, thankfully. But I'm on lifelong antibiotics, and it has wreaked havoc with my gut biome. I have a lot of sensitivities. I believe that it's made weight gain happening, not to mention some of the emotional challenges that have gone with having been an athlete, no longer an athlete, trying really hard to just hang in there. And I think the gut biome is probably at the heart of it. If I could know that I would not get staph, invading my spine again, because they say that there's a biofilm there. If I knew that that wasn't going to affect me again, I would stop taking the antibiotics. But right now I'm still on it, and I know it's affecting me.
So then the issue is that, obviously it doesn't feel good for your gut, but you think it's contributing to weight gain?
Yes. And right. I don't have what a lot of people have with food sensitivities and so on and so forth. I have a lot of inflammation, systemic pain. And as the weight has come on, and I've still got diminished abilities from previous to 2014, I am not as active. And when I am, I ache more, even if I'm not eating those things that I'm sensitive to. So it's just like this big ball of, it's a mess.
So are you clear, or are you sure that weight gain started happening once you started taking antibiotics? Did those two kind of happen simultaneously?
There was a lot that happened at the same time. And so I've looked at it, I've analyzed it, and I think there's a connection. But at the same time, my husband of 30 years walked out, and so on and so forth, and moving and all of that. So there was a lot of challenging emotional hits as well, in addition to losing my ability as an athlete. And so processing, I used to do that by being active, all of the emotions and stuff. So I think it's a mixed bag, if I'm honest, but I know that now, in the time that's passed since then, I have given a really good try and found myself really stalled out. And I do believe that the weight gain is connected to all of that. And definitely the incident in 2014 precipitated it, if not caused it directly.
So how much weight gain are we talking about?
The scale is not my friend from years of kind of some disorder. And so I'm guessing that I could probably release 70 pounds. Mm-hmm. And prior to that incident in 2014, I was probably in the fittest condition of my life, preparing for a backpacking trip in Machu Picchu. And so I was fortunate that I was that fit when that hit me. But I'm nowhere near like that now, for sure.
Okay. How old are you now?
I just turned 60.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
So this happened when you were about 54-ish?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 53.
Okay. And how were you diagnosed as having a staph infection in your spine? Who diagnosed you?
There was a team. The infectious disease doc was on hand. The initial diagnosis happened via an emergency room visit when I couldn't avoid my bowels. I couldn't take care of that. And they did an x-ray and found a lesion on my spine. And so the emergency room doctor thought I had some sort of a cancer or something. So that's how it began. And then they brought in the various specialists to work on the spine. And I ultimately had a back surgery.
Okay. You had a back surgery. What kind of surgery did they do?
I don't remember the medical name for it, but basically they put in I had from it was T1 to T5 was wiped out by the staph. It was like dry rot was what I was told. And so they put in 2 rods and 4 pins.
Got it. Okay. And you've been on antibiotics ever since?
Yeah.
So at that point, I'm assuming you weren't able to exercise.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So exercise.
I had to learn how to walk again.
Right. Had to learn how to walk. Certainly couldn't exercise. At what point in the process did the marriage breakup happen?
He left about 4 months into my recovery. I was still walking with a walker and managing our ranch property with the help of friends. And then he came back sometime later and then left again permanently. And so the whole thing dissolved within 3 years after that incident, the 2014. So by 2017, we were done.
Mm-hmm. And where would you say you're at now with the relationship and the breakup? Like, how would you characterize your state of mind and being and spirit around it all?
I feel like God has done a lot of healing in my life over that. And in fact, I got remarried a couple of years ago, and I have a wonderful life on Catalina Island in California, and a Christian camp there. I feel, I saw him recently, my former husband recently, and I didn't feel animosity towards him. There have been a lot of real rough times since the breakup, especially with my kids involved. They're grown, but, and so I feel like seeing him just a week ago, it was indicative of how much healing there has been, because I didn't feel anger. I could be pleasant. I could laugh with him. And so I'm feeling at peace, but then I know denial can be, fabricate peace too.
Do you have kids together with him?
Yeah. With my former husband, we had 2, and they're almost 30.
Mm-hmm. So did your eating change once you were in recovery from the surgery? Yes. I believe that something happened with the nerves that were affected by the staph infection that affected my digestion. It affected everything. And so I ate differently while I was recovering because I couldn't digest things still. And they yanked out my gallbladder in the process too. So that was thrown in there. They thought maybe that was why I was in so much pain. And that was before they found the lesion on my spine. And so there was a lot to get used to at once in terms of what I could eat, what I couldn't eat. I've always been, since 2000, I've been an intuitive eater, eating between hunger and satisfaction. And so trying to, kind of evaluate how foods were affecting me. But I'm not that I've been perfect along the way with that goal. So it did change as I was able to not just have smoothies anymore. I started eating meat again and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. So do you have to go back for regular checkups with your spine?
Not my spine, but with the infectious disease doc.
Got it. And when was the last time you went in to see the infectious disease specialist?
We met last month.
Uh-huh. And what's the general statement that she says?
She says, as long as the blood test that I get every 6 months indicates that my SED rate is what it should be, then she's not concerned. But when I have asked about possibly doing something about getting off of antibiotics, she's been very alarmed at that idea.
Interesting. So have you ever had a second opinion?
Yes. I have had 3 opinions altogether. The first infectious disease doc concurred with the one I currently have. And then in between, I visited a friend's doctor out of state in Colorado. And he told me that my symptoms are managed such that he wouldn't poke the sleeping giant with a stick, is how he described it.
Meaning he would keep you on antibiotics.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So that's a tough one.
I did have a functional nutritionist after listening to one of your I think it was a podcast. It was something that you said about getting an opinion other, outside of the box. And she wanted me off of antibiotics and to take a lot of supplements. And I just got a little scared about doing that without somebody monitoring me super closely.
Yes. I mean, this is such a specialized and, in a way, a fairly uncommon condition that you have been dealing with. Yeah. So there's not going to be a lot of outside the box people that you can go to who really understand the original condition that you have, that you had. And this is a tough one. You can find all kinds of natural medicine specialists who can, talk about you and your, immune condition, or you and your digestive challenges, or so many different conditions. But when you're talking about a condition in the spine that required, dramatic measures to deal with, then we're in different territory here. Yeah. So on the one hand, you got to be under the monitoring of a doctor. The only way you can go off of an antibiotic is to find a specialist who will say, I'm willing to go on this little journey with you and closely monitor you. Yeah. I truly don't know if you're going to find that, because it's just, to the mind of an infectious disease doctor, that's an unnecessary risk.
Right.
They're all going to think that. That's just an unnecessary risk based on their training, based on what they know, based on what we know. I don't blame them. They want to play it safe. They're not interested in you, ending up back on the operating table.
Right.
So tell me, do you still experience digestive symptoms that you feel are related to the antibiotics?
I haven't, no. And I feel like my body's adjusted really well to that. I've kind of gotten into a really regular digestion and feel pretty good about it. Really. It was a big hurdle, even after surgery.
Okay. So of recent, in the last 2 or 3 years, has there been anything that you've tried to do to lose weight?
I did count calories for a very short second because that I instantly headed back to my former obsession and cheating by, I've got to be more active so I can eat that. And so I can't really say it was an honest try, because it wasn't very long. It was very short. I was optimistic early on, but then I don't know how much of that was, I'm just going to grip it tighter. And I've heard what you teach about the sympathetic and parasympathetic and eating in those states. And I know I was stressing myself out even more by counting everything. And it was kind of crazy. So I have tried to just be even more mindful, modifying what I call hunger, modifying what I call satisfied, and stopping shy of where I have in the past. And, there's some variation. Sometimes I release a little bit of weight and the pants get looser. I'm in the season like that right now. I've also kind of made things more complicated by being injured for the last year and a half, only recently having a hip replacement surgery. And so resuming activity a little bit, but it's painful because I'm so heavy.
Yes. So when did you get married for a second time?
2019, in the middle of the summer. 2019.
And were you at the same weight that you are now?
I was close because I'm wearing the same size pants and the same brand and all that I wore then.
So your husband, it's not an issue for him, your weight and his connection with you?
No, doesn't seem to be.
Well, I'm going to guess there's not, because he married you.
Yeah. He told me today he thinks I'm beautiful. So when I was talking about our interview,
might as well believe him.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that's good to hear.
Yes.
I think it's good to acknowledge. It's good to hear, because at the end of the day, there's somebody loving on you.
Yes.
That thinks you're beautiful.
Yes.
And that somebody happens to be the person that you're married to and you live with and you spend.
And that I love.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's some good news in all of this. So do you think, in your opinion, that you eat too much?
This is the way I think of it. I must be, because I'm carrying extra weight. So I eat more than my body needs. I feel like I wait for hunger very consistently. And do I eat more than I need? At that point, that's probably the stopping place has to probably adjust. So I'm thinking I'm eating more than I need to at each hunger. Okay.
So let me ask you a question. And I don't know if I'm going to dive into specifics of exactly what you eat. So I'm going to say I eat 3 meals a day and I probably have 2 snacks. So in my language, I eat 5 times a day, the 3 meals and the 2 snacks. How many times a day would you say you eat, including what you would call a meal, including what you would call snacking?
Yeah, I don't distinguish between snacking and a meal, because every time I nourish my body, I feel like it counts. And that means what I choose to put in it too. So 4 or 5.
Okay. When's the first time a day that you generally eat? What time?
Usually between 7 and 8 in the morning.
What might you have for breakfast?
I typically have, it's a mini Cliff Bar with some sun butter on it. And it's a mini. I mean, like, I'm not talking about the Cliff Bar. I'm talking about their mini version, which is smaller than half a Cliff Bar.
Okay. So that's what you have at 7 o'clock-ish. Then when's the next time you eat?
Usually by 11, I'm hungry again.
And then what might you have?
Usually I look to see what leftovers there are from since my husband cooks at a camp, sometimes we get to bring home some of the leftovers. So usually I like to be sure that there's something proteiny, so whether it's a meat, like today I had leftover Mexican food, and it amounts to 1 taco with some meat, rice, beans, and salsa in it.
Okay. So that's about 11-ish. When's the next time you might eat?
That would be the snack, which I again think of as a meal. Usually like 3, and sometimes that's a little bit of jerky, sometimes cashews. I can't eat cheese. That used to be a favorite, but so things like that. Sometimes a piece of fruit. Okay. Well, an orange.
When's the next time that you eat?
When we sit down to eat dinner together. So between 6 and 7.
And who does the cooking?
When there's campers in camp, Michael's doing the cooking for everybody in camp. And otherwise, I try to give him the night off of cooking.
And what might you just give me an idea of a typical dinner?
We're not big on the vegetables, so it'll be meatballs, rice, some sauce or something, to give it flavor. And that's not atypical. Sometimes it'll be chicken. Mexican is a favorite. So we also have some beef dishes that we enjoy with rice or potatoes, that sort of thing.
So tell me again, what time is that meal?
Usually between 6 and 7.
Okay. Do you have anything after that?
Sometimes. And that's probably where I need to make more adjustments. I've made some, but I definitely need to make more. So I don't eat from the time dinner ends to the time I go to bed. That's in the past. But it might be some popcorn. It might be some ice cream. And if there's an adjustment of waiting for hunger, that might be the one that I preempt 0 for.
Okay. So do you ever find yourself in what you just described? Do you ever find yourself ravenous? Like, oh my God, I am really hungry. Like when you're getting to your 11 o'clock snack or meal, your 2 o'clock.
Yeah. Especially the second meal of the day, because sometimes I'm working on something and I want to finish what I'm doing. And so I can get pretty hungry.
Okay. So okay, let's talk practical, just very nuts and bolts, weight loss thinking and strategies. I'm always about looking to tailor a weight loss strategy to the person I'm talking to. I don't believe in humans should do this to lose weight, this one thing, this one kind of nutritional system, this one kind of diet, this one kind of exercise, whatever it is, not interested. That's like saying everybody should, look for the same kind of person to settle down with. And everybody should read the same books and, watch the same TV shows. It would be a very boring world. So I'm assuming that we're all unique, we're all individuals. And oftentimes when we are at a plateau with weight, it's good to mix things up, just to do things differently. Because doing something different gives you the best chance that something's going to happen. Because doing the same thing, if you're not losing weight the way you're eating right now, and with all due respect, without me going into very specifics, I'm not hearing that you're eating a ton of food. You eat the bulk of your food in the evening time. I'm not even worried about your after dinner snack. You might be, but what I'm hearing is that that your biggest meal is at 6-ish. I'm hearing that your smallest meal is at 7 a.m. and it's tiny. It's virtually non-existent. So from 7 a.m. till 11 a.m., you're not running on a lot. You don't have a lot of fuel in your system. So I would look to so there's a couple of things. If this was reality TV show and I get $10 million to help you lose weight, here's a few things I would do. Okay, first thing I would do is I would have you be eating a more significant and robust breakfast. I want you to think of that for the most part, whatever I eat at breakfast, I'm going to burn. Think of your metabolism like a fireplace, like a wood stove. So when I used to have a wood stove, when I lived in the country, I'd wake up in the morning and, I'd had the wood stove burning overnight. But then when you wake up in the morning, there's just a couple of embers in it. There's a little bit of, charcoal burning at the bottom of the wood stove. If you don't put any more wood in there, nothing happens. If you put a ton of wood in there, you smother those embers. If you put the right amount of wood in there, you create a fire. Your digestive system, your metabolism, your calorie burning metabolism, it's kind of like a fire. And when you wake up in the morning, your digestive system is kind of getting revved up. Your calorie burning metabolism is getting revved up. Now, people are different. I'm not saying everybody should follow this way of thinking. I'm saying I want you to consider following this way of thinking as an experiment to see if we can shift your weight loss equation. So because I hear, oh my goodness, she's not eating anything in the morning. So what's happening is you're coming to 11 o'clock ravenous. That tells me that you haven't had enough food. Oftentimes what happens is that when the brain is not sensing enough food in the body, metabolism adjusts downwards. You're literally training your metabolism to burn slower because you're not putting anything in it. You're almost telling your body, hey, from 7 a.m. until 11 a.m., we're on a desert island. There's no food here. So if you and I are on a desert island, we're going to slow down calorie burning metabolism. So I would want to see you eat a breakfast that's centered around protein and fat. Again, this is to stimulate weight loss. I'm not saying everybody who wants to lose weight should do this. I'm saying this, I think, is a useful strategy for you. Okay. So whatever it is, bunch of eggs, piece of toast, yogurt with fruit, any kind of breakfast meat, any kind of breakfast fish, but something that's high in protein, high in fat. And don't worry about, I'm eating too many eggs. or I'm eating too many, breakfast sausages. I want you to feel that breakfast is an abundant meal, because that, I'm not suggesting that you eat a stack of pancakes with whipped cream. I want you to shift away. I'm interested in people who want to lose weight and shifting away from a carbohydrate-only breakfast.
Right.
Like not eat breakfast cereal, not eat donuts, not eat, just carbohydrates, muffins, etc. So I want you to think of breakfast as like a free meal, as long as it's centered in protein and fat. Eat as much as you want till the point where you feel satisfied.
Okay.
And that's an experiment just to see, does that shift your metabolism? Now, I know the brain says, oh, wait a second, that's more calories. The body is not a simple input-output calorie burning machine. That's old, antiquated science that I believe is embarrassing. It doesn't follow clinical experience. It doesn't follow real world experience. And there's so many factors that enter into how a human being burns calories. It's not just how many.
Right.
So that's one thing I would do. I would just want to see you eat a more robust breakfast. I don't want you coming to any meal ravenous. If you come to a meal ravenous, that means you didn't eat enough.
Okay.
So for some people, what happens is when they start to eat a more robust breakfast, if they're overeating other meals, it tends to modulate their appetite more. Because oftentimes the brain keeps nutritional score. And if you were fasting for the first half of the day and you did that consistently and your body didn't approve, when you get to the evening time, your body's going to want more food. It's going to scream hungry, and you're going to tend to eat a lot, and you're going to think that you have an issue. But what's happening is your body is saying, I'm in a nutrition deficit. There's nutrients that I'm missing because I didn't get enough during the day. Give me food. It's not smart enough to say, I need more protein. I need more essential fat. I need more micronutrients. It's smart enough to say, hungry. Do you tend to be a fast eater, moderate eater, slow eater?
Fast. That's something I've been working on since taking your training.
Yeah. So got to train yourself to become a slow eater.
Right.
And slow eater isn't a speed. It's a state of being. It is a way of you choosing to be in the world, which means awake. It means conscious. It means not going to sleep while you're eating. It means enjoying your food, receiving pleasure from your food, being present to it. If you're eating fast, your body thinks you're an animal in nature in a stress response because other animals are trying to steal your meal. And eating fast is a stressor for the body. It literally sends the body into stress response, increase cortisol, increase insulin, other stress hormones, which will signal the body to store weight and store fat and not build muscle. So you have to create a different Heidi when she's eating.
Yeah.
And so where if you want your metabolism to change, you have to look for the easiest places where you can change it. Right now, an easy place to change your metabolism is not exercising, because your body isn't well suited for that at this time. So, okay, what else can you do? A human being can change their metabolism by going from a fast eater to a slow eater. Slow being meaning relaxed, meaning relaxation response, meaning parasympathetic nervous system dominance, meaning the optimum state of digestion and assimilation and calorie burning and natural appetite regulation, which is relaxation. Right. So when you're eating slow and relaxed and tasting your food, first of all, your brain is getting what it wants. It wants an experience. If you eat too fast, your brain thinks I didn't eat. So enroll your husband in helping you become a slower eater. And again, slow means present, relaxed, pleasured, nourished. Am I making sense so far?
Oh yes, definitely.
Okay. So next for you, easy ways to shift metabolism. And oftentimes these things are additive, meaning, just changing your breakfast up by itself might not stimulate weight loss. But if you change the breakfast the way I mentioned, you start to become in more of a relaxation state when you eat. Those two together can potentially synergize. One of the great ways, two great ways to mimic exercise without exercising. And it's not the same, I know, but it's the closest you'll come, chances are. One way is to sweat. And the easiest way to sweat and not exercise is to use a sauna. They sell these infrared saunas. You can get they're portable. You can probably buy one used for $300 or $400 if you could afford it. And you just get in every day and you be in there for, 10, 15 minutes and you sweat. When you're sweating, that means you're increasing calorie burning capacity.
Okay.
So a dry infrared portable sauna, like I said, if you can afford it, is a powerful tool to let the body know, okay, we're going to be turning up the heat, so to speak. So that's another potential strategy you can use. I would also, and I can't go into the details of this. This is something you would have to, either do by yourself or find somebody to coach you. But oftentimes, for some people, a paleo diet can stimulate weight loss.
Okay.
A paleo diet or a modified paleo diet. For other people, paleo diet doesn't do anything for weight loss. So it's all about experimenting. Okay. If one wishes to lose weight and one has certain limitations, then I think to myself, okay, what can we do? So I'm always of the belief that no, I'm not saying everybody should be on a paleo diet. Some people go on a vegan diet and they lose weight. Like if you gave me a person who said they wanted to lose 80 pounds and they were on a paleo diet and they're not losing weight, I'd put them on a vegan diet and potentially see results. So that's something to also put on your list.
Okay.
Prior to this period of gaining weight, 6-ish years ago, it sounds like you faced challenges around body image and around your weight.
Sure. Well, that's fair. Yeah.
Have there been other periods in your life where you've said, God, I really want to lose weight?
Oh, yeah. I lost 100 pounds twice.
What age were you? Ages when you lost 100 pounds?
2006. Well, 2006 to 2007. I'm 60 now. How many years ago is that? 14. So
yes.
I was 46, right. Something like that. Yeah. So that was the last time. And that was just with hunger and satisfied eating, all of it. Didn't do any dieting. And prior to that, it was when my daughter was 2 years old. That would have been 1996. 1998. Oh boy.
It's 22 years ago. So you were 38-ish.
38.
So you had gained 100 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
How did you gain 100 pounds?
Not moving, overeating a lot, processing everything with food instead of any other way.
So where do you feel that you're at in your life now when it comes to your weight? What's your inner conversation? What do you tell yourself about your weight and you?
I do have very specific things I tell myself. I have what's called a truth list. And these include things like, I am not defined by my size or my shape. I am much more than my body's ability to move through space or struggle. So do I believe those though? That's why I tell them to myself, because sure. I struggle with believing them. When I look in the mirror or catch my reflection in the window, I have a little standard for myself that no matter what else I've said to myself, like, how did you let yourself get this way? I've got to replace that with at least three things like there's a woman who is devoted to her family, or, something about who I am as a person instead of seeing my identity rooted in this outer shell. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's what you mean.
Sure. Yes, that's very helpful. Are your parents still alive?
Mm-mm.
How did your mother do when it came to weight?
It's interesting. I've been thinking a lot about her lately, turning 60. I remember some of the things that she would lament, and she was very dramatic. And one of them, she definitely must have struggled. I don't remember thinking of her as big, but I have memories of my dad showering her with gifts of clothing at Christmas time and her running into her room and returning all the clothes. I'm assuming now because they were too small or something like that. And so I know she was very focused on physical appearance. So whether it was wrinkles or I don't recall what she said about her own size, but she did put me on a diet in high school. So that's all I have to go on, really.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so let me ask you this. For the suggestions that I made so far about breakfast, about becoming, training yourself to become a slow eater,
mm-hmm.
around potentially getting a home portable infrared sauna. Mm-hmm. Do any of those feel doable for you?
Yeah, the first two especially do. I've been working on the slowing down my eating. And it's a long process. I've been doing it this way for over 55 years. Yeah. And so it's interesting how hard that is for me. And then I relish the idea of having a breakfast that's a little more substantive than the Cliff Bar, a little mini Cliff Bar. I thought it was so virtuous that I was having so little and getting by with it just fine. But it's not just fine.
No, opposite of, it has nothing to do with virtue and everything to do with just a false belief about how the body works. And if that would help you lose weight, it would have helped you lose weight already.
That's true.
It would help you lose weight. So we're not going to do it anymore.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I kind of just took it for granted. I hadn't even scrutinized it. So I appreciate you doing that.
Yes. And, it just catches my attention, and I don't know that I have anything profound to say, but it just captures my attention that there's been a couple of times in your life where you had 100 pounds to lose. Mm-hmm. And at this time in your life, there's 70 pounds to lose. So you've had some big swings.
Big swings, because then I've gone the other end too.
Yes. So you've had some big swings, and at the end of the day, life is about, and so, us trying to find the nice middle road, because the big swings don't work. And in order to have big swings, we have to be sometimes checking out in a big way. Now, this time around, you are dealing with very real physical limitations. So it's not like you can use exercise to help yourself. Mm-hmm. And, that's a key piece of the puzzle. Part of it is asking yourself, who, aside from weight, who do you want to be? Who do you aspire to be that you feel like, I've got a road in front of me to become more of the person I wish to be, forgetting about weight and body and shape and all that. What else in your life would you say you aspire to that's important to you?
I'm a woman of faith, and I believe that my faith should affect everything that I do. I also run a ministry. And so this ministry, people look at the outer shell, they just do. And so I know I put pressure on myself to look differently than I do right now. And this, I want to not be that person. I want to be the person who is okay in her own skin, no matter what shape or size that skin happens to be, but I also want to be that woman who doesn't process her emotions or numb out with food or drink or anything like that. And so I want to be able to accomplish the mission that I believe I've been given to accomplish in this world. And I really believe that if I can get my eyes off of the externals myself, I will be a better ambassador for the message that I've been given to share.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
And so that's who I want to be.
Okay, that's helpful. So I want to make a couple of comments about that. I would love to see you lighten up on the part of your wish that says, I want to be a woman who doesn't turn to food to deal with her emotions or check out. I'm going to say, I don't know that is the right goal for you. And maybe it's just going to take a little bit of wordsmithing or a little bit of reframing here. Here's what I mean. Every human being that is born onto this planet uses food to regulate emotions. Every human being who's born onto this planet at some point has probably checked out with food. But for sure, every human being uses food to regulate emotions. You know this because you look at the tiniest infant when your children were infants and they were screaming and crying, and you gave them bottle or breast, they immediately chill. They're immediately relaxed. Every human being has the memory, feel bad, eat food, feel better. And to an infant, milk, mother's milk, is not just food. It's an experience. It's warmth, it's care, it's love, it's being touched. And it's all encoded in the body as the same thing. So the reality is food is one of the best emotional regulators out there. It's one of the fastest. When you're really I know if I'm really hungry, I get mean and angry. As soon as I eat, I am no longer mean and angry. So food is an emotional regulator. That's a part of what it does. Now, I understand when anybody says, yeah, but I don't want to use that so much. True. If I use that too much to regulate my emotions, it's going to potentially get me into trouble. Mm-hmm. And it can cause weight gain. It can cause unwanted eating. Understood. But there's a place where I'm wanting you to embrace the fact that you're human and that there's a standard of perfection that you might be going for that doesn't exist. So I would rather you affirm, I, like any other human being, use food to regulate my emotions. I eat something I like, I feel good. Somebody forces me to eat something I don't like, I feel bad. So you're learning how to use food to regulate your emotions in a good way, in a way that works for you. Hey, have some ice cream after your meal. Feel good. I don't know that there's anything wrong with that. You're feeling good. You're alive. And one of the things we do to feel good about being alive is to have something fun to eat. I don't know that I would want to take that away from anybody. So all I'm saying is there might be a goal in there that you're trying to attain that's unattainable. And instead, you are learning how to use food to regulate your emotions in a way that works for you.
Interesting. Good idea.
Yeah. So it takes off the pressure because you will use food emotionally. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you're going to say to yourself, I am turning to food because I'm feeling this, that, or the other thing. And that's what I'm doing. And I can't stop myself. So I would rather you do that. And if you turn to food for emotional regulation, I'd rather you do that. You enjoy what you're eating. You slow down. You pay attention. You don't check out. You check in. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And then when you're finished, you forgive yourself. So if you're a woman of faith, you know you're forgiven. You're not being held accountable. Ain't such a bad sin. I don't even think it is a sin.
I don't either.
It's something that you did that you wish you didn't do. Nobody's truly harmed, and it's teaching you how to be present with yourself and how to forgive yourself when you do something that you wish you didn't. So that's just a piece of the puzzle moving forward.
Okay.
How's all this landing for you? What's in your thoughts right now?
It's landing well. I think that the distinction for me is in looking at, well, first of all, do I let myself enjoy eating anyway? I mean, because to me, it's like it's always been a necessary thing that I've struggled with. And so I would rather not have to deal with it than I don't have to make decisions. And so enjoyment, I understand as a part of my body working at its best, metabolizing and all of that good stuff. And my brain acknowledging that I've eaten and that's all good. It's harder for me to imagine. I guess letting go of it doesn't feel like judgment to me, but perhaps it is, that keeps some sort of a lid on, behavior that I am concerned about. I don't know if that makes sense.
It's in a lot of ways, it's making peace with the fact that you are an eater. Every human being is an eater. The way God designed you, you are brilliantly designed to eat food. That's how you were created.
Right.
So there's no sin in there.
No, I agree.
There is no guilt in there for being an eater.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think there's a certain amount of, in your mind, there's a lot of old shoulds and shouldn'ts in there.
Could be.
And I think there's just some old guilt that is wanting you and or the way you eat and or your body just to be different.
That could very well be.
And here's what I want to say. As you move forward and consider some of the strategies that I mentioned, again, increasing your breakfast, again, really training yourself to be a slow, present, relaxed, nourished, pleasured eater, and maybe getting a sauna and the infrared sauna. It's just like a little tent. It's small. It's not like some big thing, the portable ones. And as you start to notice if there's a perfectionist standard that you have around, I'm not allowed to emotionally eat.
Yeah.
Eating should not be an emotional affair. Like, what would be the opposite of emotional eating? Unemotional eating? That sounds boring. Humans, we're human. We bring our emotions to the table. We like to celebrate a meal. We like to enjoy a meal. We go out on a date with a meal. And oftentimes we bring our stress and our anger and our tension to a meal, and it helps relax us. So again, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. And we're learning how to be eaters in a way that works for us. So there's tweaking sometimes.
Okay. But
there's no guilt. There's no shame. Because we're just learning. There's no guilt or shame if you're learning how to, if you're 2 years old and learning how to tie your shoes and you can't do it the first time.
Yeah.
There's no guilt or shame. We're just learning. So what I would love to see you do as you're practicing some of these things is, and this is a bit of paradox, at the same time, while you're doing these things to help see if it can stimulate weight loss, I want you to see if you can let go of weight loss.
Yeah.
So
it's not about the weight.
Yeah, it's sort of like it's your birthday, you get a cake, you make a wish, you blow out the candles. Most people, when they make their wish and blow out the candles, they don't obsess about that wish for the next 300 days. You make your wish, you let it be known, and then you go about your business. So I don't quite know what it is, but oftentimes for people, we're so conditioned in our mind and in our brain, weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. I should eat this, I shouldn't eat that. What do I need to do? What should I have done differently? Oh my God, I overate. I shouldn't have overate. Maybe I should have a different diet. What? Counting calories, not counting calories, more stuff. So there's so much going on that we forget who we are. Mm-hmm. And the body actually can't be what it's meant to be because we're not being who we're meant to be. Body and mind track one another. And for many people, in order for the body to reach its potential, we as human beings have to be reaching our personal potential, our human potential, our spiritual potential. Part of reaching that potential means we focus on what's most important. And yeah, I know you want to lose weight. You know you want to lose weight. Okay, we're going to be trying these things, but you're not going. But how do you do things to help you lose weight and let them go at the same time? How do you make your wish and blow out the candles so that throughout the day, you only think of your weight once, maybe twice, and it's fleeting. Mm-hmm. But you're doing good things for yourself. Mm-hmm. And then we just let things unfold as they do. That's what I'm suggesting for you.
Okay. I like that idea.
Yeah. And it's a practice. It's a practice because it's literally catching yourself when you notice that your mind is occupied about weight. Mm-hmm. And ask yourself, what's more important than my weight right now in this moment?
Just about anything might be.
Yes. So it's literally training your mind, training your spirit to uplift itself out of really what is conditional acceptance, conditional love. Yeah. I will accept myself. I will love myself if I look a certain way. I'm not there right now, so totally don't accept myself. Mm.
Yeah.
Jesus wouldn't come down and say, Heidi, I'll accept you if you had, bleach blonde hair. Otherwise, I don't accept you. No, there's no conditions.
Right.
So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for you to start removing some of the conditions that you place on you in order for you to be acceptable.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And if somebody else, if you're thinking other people have those conditions towards you, that's not your business. That's their business. That's not for you to fix. That's not for you to solve. You just shine your light. You don't hide it under a bushel. You shine it. Okay. That's your response.
Okay.
So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if I ask the question, tell me just something that comes to mind right now that you're taking away from this conversation that feels important for you.
Probably.
Doesn't have to be all of it, but just one or two things.
Yeah. Some of the more practical ones, those are easy. The thing that I think is most important for me right now is that while I don't condemn myself, and that's a practice I feel good about, that I don't do that, there's still a judgment that's going on. And you brought that to light really well, and a condition that I've placed on myself relative to accepting myself, or accepting myself as a leader of this ministry, or accepting myself as a spokesperson for this ministry, or whatever it might be, or even in life. And I need to deal with that with love and compassion, and be present for myself. And I appreciate that. Good.
Thank you. It's to me, this is such a good conversation, and, who knows what's going to happen with your body and its weight? We really don't know. Mm-hmm. And there's really no certainty for human beings when it comes to weight loss.
That's true.
And so part of a successful weight loss journey is understanding that there is uncertainty. And instead of stressing into that uncertainty, being anxious around that uncertainty, fighting that uncertainty, wanting certainty. And when we want certainty, we often go for quick fix methods.
Right.
Or false promises that guarantee us certainty that can't possibly do that and don't work anyway. So it's learning to embrace that uncertainty and understand that that's kind of the world in general. And sort of the opposite of uncertainty is sort of trust. Yeah, these things are uncertain, and let me walk forward with more trust in your life. Not trust in the weight loss journey, but trust in your life.
Yeah.
Faith in your life, faith in something greater than you, guiding you. And I know you know these things. I'm just reminding you.
Sure, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Heidi, I really appreciate the conversation. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being real and open.
Sure thing. Thank you.
Okay. And thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate you being here. Always more to come. Take care, my friends.
Hey friends, we're so happy that you've joined us for another episode of The Psychology of Eating with Marc David. Are you loving these episodes? Then simply subscribe and you'll never miss an episode again. We'd also love it if you'd leave us a comment below so we can hear more about your own journey with food and body. And if you're curious about what we offer at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, including our internationally acclaimed coach certification training that's rooted in dynamic eating psychology and mind-body nutrition, please head on over to our website, psychologyofeating.com. Until next time, take care. And remember, having the body you want starts with loving the body you have.